Dear humanity, just look at us. Everything is backwards. Everything is upside down. This issue affects millions of people, and if we don't wake up, many more will be reliant on disability. The World Health Organization stated, depression is the leading cause of disability. Globally, more than 300 million people of all ages suffer from depression. One of many well-researched books shed light on what we've been doing, who is benefiting, and more disturbing, the outcome for the victims of greed. Anatomy of an Epidemic by Robert Whitaker. Risk of disability for depressed patients. Those who took antidepressants were more than twice as likely to go on long-term disability. Antidepressant drugs and depression might be beneficial in the short term, but worsen the progression of the disease in the long term. Antidepressant drugs may propel the illness to a more malignant and treatment-unresponsive course. Let's not forget, we are now agreeing to medicate millions of children. In a study conducted of children diagnosed with ADHD by the end of the third year, medication use was a significant marker, not a beneficial outcome. An epidemic unfolds. For youth 20 years and younger, increased diagnosis, increased prescription rates, and increased disability. With over 20 years experience in the world of disabilities, I can promise you this is not a system you'd want to be a part of. And the poverty gap is only increasing. In 2014, it would take an additional $6,800 to bring a single person up to the poverty level. For a family with 2 children, an additional $8,200 would raise them to the poverty level. Despite the odds, many do work and some start businesses, and the government contracts out service providers to help people with employment and to contribute to the problem. When someone with a disability does start work, the government takes a portion of their income, keeping them in poverty. I remember one client referring to employment support as pimps for gimps, and now I understand why. If a client doesn't report their income, their help is instructed to cut off their disability supports, causing hardship mentally, physically, and emotionally. My question is if tax dollars can support giving the Clinton Foundation $20 million or a $1.5 million trip to India, or some experience it, Trudeau hands out billions to other countries while Canadians stand in line at food banks. The needy paying for the sins of the greedy. There have been many committees appointed by the government that have researched disabilities in Canada, and each has said the government is failing people with disabilities. When it comes to mental health, from my perspective, we have trusted too much and questioned too little, many being told they have a chemical imbalance. Harvard Medical School noted that in every instance where such an imbalance was thought to be found, it was later proved to be false. For those who are suffering from depression, I encourage you to do your research. No problem can be solved by the same level of consciousness that created it. There is over 23 years of scientific evidence that shows we could turn this all around. Alternatives with side effects that include boosting the immune system, with decreased depression and anxiety, and increased calmness and focus. The greatest medicine of all is to teach people how not to need it. Genius human, think critically, do your own research. You have the world at your fingertips. Become emotionally intelligent. Learn to master your emotions instead of letting them master you. Become conscious of your subconscious thoughts. What you believe is what you will see. Open up to possibility. Education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. The biggest competition for the pharmaceuticals is the placebo effect. You are the placebo. Dear humanity, everything is backwards, everything is upside down, but there are solutions. There are many changes that must be made, but it takes more than one to make a difference. Science shows that we are all connected, and when many come together, we do have the power to change the world. Together we rise, divided we fall. An injustice to one is an injustice to all. Of all the forms of inequality, injustice in healthcare is the most shocking and inhumane. A link to a petition can be found in the description box. If you agree, please take a moment to sign and share.